Welcome to tonight's journey, part history, part lullaby. Please, make yourself comfortable. Maybe even sit in your favorite chair, because over the next few hours, we'll quietly explore the long and gentle story of our planet. The history of Earth, and the calm, beautiful reason why the sky above you is blue. It's not just science, it's a bedtime story written in light. Before you open your eyes, the world is already moving. The air holds a silence that isn't empty. It's full of slow beginnings, of soft breaths and distant birds. Somewhere beyond your window, the edge of the earth is turning toward the sun. It happens so gently that you never feel the motion, yet it carries everything: oceans, mountains, you. The first light of morning is not sudden. It begins far away, where the sun's rays stretch like fingertips across the curve of the planet, touching the highest clouds first. They catch fire quietly, glowing pink and gold, long before the streets below awaken. You lie there, still between dreaming and waking, and feel it. The slow bloom of warmth moving through the air, a pulse shared by everything alive. That light, the one slipping between the curtains, is 8 minutes old. It left the sun long before you stirred, traveling 93 million miles through the vast quiet of space. It passed planets and dust, crossed invisible boundaries of time and gravity, and arrived here, only to rest on your skin for a moment, as if it had always been meant for you. You breathe in, and the light enters your lungs through warmth. You exhale, and the world feels a little newer. Morning light is more than brightness. It's a story told in photons. Each one is a particle and a wave, both a flicker and a ripple, dancing between the rules of matter and mystery. The air you breathe bends them. The glass on your window slows them. Your eyes catch them. They fall into your pupils, brush against molecules deep within, and turn into a message your brain translates into color. What you call golden light is really the way your mind sings back to the universe. Outside, shadows lengthen and curl. Grass begins to glisten, not because it's wet, but because the angle of light scatters through the dew like tiny prisms. Each droplet becomes its own small sunrise, its own world, reflecting the sky. In this hour, the earth feels like a breathing organism, every leaf unfurling, every sound sharpened yet soft. You might think the morning begins when you wake, but truly, it began long before. In the cold depths of space, the sun is an enormous fusion of hydrogen, an ancient burning heart converting matter into light. Every second, it releases billions upon billions of photons, tiny messengers of energy that have traveled from the sun's dense center for thousands of years before escaping into space. When they finally reach you, they carry the memory of those fiery depths. That's what morning really is. Ancient light finding a new home, and still, it feels personal. The way it warms your hands when you hold a mug of tea. The way it paints gold onto the edges of your hair. The way the air shifts, colder in the shade, almost honeyed where light falls. You can feel the earth breathing with you, slowly, the rhythm of rotation turning night into day like the soft turning of a page. You stand near the window now, barefoot, the floor cool beneath your feet. The world is still stretching awake. Somewhere, a bird calls, not out of duty, but as if it too is surprised by the sudden beauty of morning. There's something deeply human in that, in how we meet the light each day as if it were new, even though it's the same sun that has risen for billions of years. The light grows bolder, pouring over buildings, fields, rivers. Shadows retreat. The colours of the world begin to return. The grey dissolves into blue. The blue deepens into sky. It's strange, you think, how light defines everything. Without it, there would be no colour, no shape, no sight. The sun doesn't just illuminate, it reveals. In that revelation, you see more than objects. You see connection. The same light touching your hand now also kisses the wings of a bird thousands of miles away and glints off ice in the far north. It passes through leaves, turning into sugar, feeding forests. It strikes oceans, drawing clouds from their surface. Light is the invisible thread that ties everything living into one shared breath. You close your eyes again, and behind your eyelids, the red glow is softer now. You can almost sense the photons still arriving, not rushing, just flowing. Light has no hurry. It teaches patience, showing that change doesn't have to be violent to be profound. Morning isn't a command, it's an invitation. In this light, your mind begins to wander, to think about how life itself follows the rhythm of dawn. Circadian clocks ticking inside every cell, tuned to the sun like tiny instruments. When morning light enters your eyes, it whispers to the brain, it's time. Time to wake, to move, to begin again. Hormones shift, heartbeats quicken. The body, like the earth, turns toward warmth. Even your thoughts seem lighter in morning air. They come slowly, without the noise of the day, like ripples spreading over still water. You realize that light not only feeds the world, but also cleanses it. Not just the soil and the sea, but the mind itself. It tells you, you're part of this rhythm too. Outside, a breeze moves through the trees, stirring patterns of brightness and shade. The ground glows with the living pulse, not constant, but shimmering. You remember how, during dawn, light travels at a slant, scattering more in the atmosphere. That's why the sky blushes pink and orange. The shorter blue wavelengths are sent spinning in all directions, while the longer reds slip through. It's a quiet science of beauty, the physics of awe. You watch how everything becomes more defined with each passing minute, not because it changes, but because you do. Awareness sharpens in the gentle flood of light. The details of the world start to appear. Veins on a leaf, dust swirling in the air, your own reflection faintly mirrored in the glass. And for a moment, you feel the vastness of it all. How this single beam of sunlight connects the fusion fire of a star to the delicate rhythm of your breath. You are part of that chain, an unbroken current of energy and wonder. The world hums softly beneath the sky. The first light has become day, yet something in you still lingers in that in-between place, where night hasn't fully left and morning hasn't fully claimed the world. That space feels sacred. It's where questions are born and where peace lives quietly. You step back, eyes adjusting to the brightness, and think of how every sunrise is both ancient and new, a story retold with infinite beginnings. And as the morning unfolds, you can't help but wonder, where does the light go when the day begins to fade? You've seen white light your whole life, and yet you've never really seen it. It seems so pure, so simple, that you rarely stop to wonder what it's made of. But beneath that brightness, hidden like music inside silence, lies an entire symphony of color. Each wavelength is a note in the sun's quiet song, all blended together until your eyes perceive only one shining whole. Step closer. Imagine holding a shard of clear glass, a prism. You raise it to the window, where the morning sunlight from the last chapter slips through. The beam bends, slows, and suddenly it bursts. Red blooms at one edge, violet trembles at the other. Orange, yellow, green, and blue ripple between them, flowing like the veins of light itself. It feels like magic, but it's science. When light enters the prism, it changes speed. Each color, or more precisely, each wavelength, bends differently because of that speed. Red, with its long, lazy waves, bends gently. Violet, with its fast, tight waves, bends sharply. And in that tiny difference, the unity of white light falls open into a rainbow. You're not breaking the light, you're revealing it. The same miracle unfolds in the sky after rain. Sunlight enters a raindrop, reflects off the back, and splits on its way out, painting the sky in a circular arc of color. From the ground, it looks like a bridge between worlds. But really, it's a billion tiny prisms working together. Each drop holds the same secret. That simplicity is just complexity in disguise. You can almost hear it, red humming deeply, blue whispering fast, green singing steady between them. Every hue has its own energy, its own vibration. If your eyes were more sensitive, you'd see even more. Light beyond red, called infrared, that warms the skin but remains invisible. Light beyond violet, ultraviolet, that hides in brightness and helps flowers bloom. The spectrum stretches far past what you can see, infinite shades of what we call invisible. And yet, all of it exists together inside what you once thought was just white. The human eye has always loved color. We decorate our worlds with it, tell stories with it, feel emotions through it. But color isn't out there, waiting for you. It's something your mind creates. The photons that leave the sun carry only energy, not color. Your brain translates that energy into sensation, painting reality with meaning. When you see blue, it's because your mind has learned the rhythm of shorter waves. When you see red, it's because your brain slows into the longer ones. Color is light's language, and you are its interpreter. Look around you now. Maybe there's a wall, a plant, a reflection in glass. None of these things truly have color. They reflect specific wavelengths and absorb others, and what bounces back to your eyes becomes the color you perceive. The green of a leaf isn't in the leaf. It's what the leaf chooses to return from the sunlight it drinks. Nature, in its quiet wisdom, edits light to survive. Every sunrise, every sunset, every flicker of flame, they all tell the same hidden story. When the sun lowers toward the horizon, light must pass through more atmosphere. The blue and violet waves scatter away first, lost in the air's vast breath. What remains are the reds and oranges, the deep, slow notes of evening. That's why the sky burns before night, because the earth itself is filtering the symphony of light. In that sense, you realize something tender. Beauty is born from limitation. The full spectrum of light exists everywhere, but only in certain moments, certain angles, certain droplets. Do you see the rainbow? The universe doesn't show everything at once. It reveals itself slowly, like a friend who trusts you enough to share its secrets, one by one. You tilt the prism again, letting the colors spill across your palm. Each hue trembles softly, alive with energy billions of years old. The red feels warm, the first glow of dawn. The violet feels like the edge of mystery, the last color before invisible. Between them lies everything that can be seen, everything the human eye has ever known. But what's beyond violet, beyond red? The world doesn't end there. Light continues in both directions, into ranges your eyes can't reach but your body can sense. Infrared warms the night, the same kind that snakes use to find prey, or that astronomers use to look through dust and time. Ultraviolet, invisible and fierce, paints the patterns on butterfly wings that no human ever sees. Even darkness is never truly dark. It only hides light outside your limits. You start to understand that perception isn't the same as truth. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it isn't there. The universe hums with energy your eyes will never capture, and yet it all flows through you, bathing you in waves of color unseen. Science calls this the electromagnetic spectrum, a vast ocean of waves, from radio signals to gamma rays. The slice you can see, the rainbow inside white light, is just a thin thread woven through the middle. Your entire visual world, every sunrise, every color of love or memory, all of it exists in less than 1 octave of that infinite symphony. And somehow that smallness feels sacred. You imagine standing under a real rainbow now. You've seen them before, but tonight you see differently. You know that each color bends at a unique angle, that no two people ever see the same rainbow from the same place. It's not a single object in the sky. It's a personal phenomenon formed by the position of your eyes, the droplets near you, and the sunlight finding you at that precise instant. Every rainbow is yours alone. You think about how many times this must have happened. Light splitting, rain falling, people looking up. Ancient humans must have stared at those colors and wondered if it was a message from the gods. In a way, they were right. Because what is a god if not something vast, unseen, and radiant beyond comprehension? Light doesn't speak in words, but in frequencies. It carries information, warmth, and life. Every time it touches you, it tells you something. I've traveled across emptiness to find you. I've carried the universe's oldest fire in my hands. You sit quietly, letting that thought sink in. The light through the prism fades as the sun moves higher. The rainbow on your hand dissolves back into white, like a melody returning to silence. You're left with the awareness that simplicity is never truly simple. It's just harmony, too perfect to hear all at once. You close your eyes, and behind the lids, faint colors drift. Ghosts of wavelengths your mind still remembers. The world hums softly with energy, a continuous dance of visible and invisible. The white light that seems so ordinary holds the entire story of creation inside it. And you can't help but wonder, if light hides so much color within, what else in the universe carries beauty you've yet to see? You step outside, and the world greets you with blue. It stretches endlessly above, not solid, not still, but soft and alive. The sky feels like breath made visible, a vast ocean of color that deepens with every heartbeat. You tilt your head back, and for a moment, you forget that this blue isn't out there in the sky at all. It's born from what you can't see, the air itself, whispering light into color. The air seems empty, transparent, nothingness between you and the stars. But in truth, it's full of movement, full of invisible life. Each cubic inch around you holds trillions of molecules. Oxygen, nitrogen, a touch of argon, a hint of water vapor, each one small beyond imagining. They move constantly, dancing, colliding, breathing around you. And it's through their endless motion that the sky finds its voice. Light from the sun, that same white brilliance you met in the last chapter, enters this swirling sea of air. The waves of light strike those molecules, and something magical happens. The shorter, bluer wavelengths are scattered more than the longer, redder ones. They bounce, twist, ricochet in every direction, while the reds pass through more smoothly. What reaches your eyes from all corners of the sky is this scattered blue, the air's gentle echo of sunlight. That's why the heavens glow blue. It's the color of scattering, of chaos turned beautiful. You breathe in and realize that the very same molecules painting the sky are now entering your lungs. You inhale a fragment of the horizon, a trace of blue turned to breath. Air is not separate from light. They exist in quiet partnership, shaping how you see and how you live. Every breath is a conversation with the atmosphere, an exchange between the world outside and the world within. Think about this. The sky isn't actually colored. It doesn't hold pigment, no dye, no paint. The blue you see is an illusion of physics, born in motion, dying the moment you stop looking. If you were standing on the moon, where no air scatters light, the sky would be black even at noon. The stars would still shine while the sun blazed nearby. Only on Earth, wrapped in this tender film of gas, does sunlight learn to soften into color. You walk slowly through the morning air. The light feels alive here, tangible, filtering through particles of dust, pollen, tiny droplets of water. Each speck catches sunlight, scattering and softening it in new directions. You can almost sense the dialogue, photons meeting molecules, bouncing, bending, painting. It's the quietest kind of creation, happening every second, everywhere around you. The same scattering that gives you blue skies also gives you red sunsets. As the sun lowers, its light travels through more atmosphere. The blue waves scatter away completely, leaving the longer reds and oranges to reach your eyes. The day exhales its color, returning to warmth before fading into night. You realize that color itself is just the sky's breathing, a slow inhale of blue, a long exhale of gold. You pause, noticing how the air touches everything. It doesn't end where your skin begins. It fills your lungs, yes, but it also fills the spaces between leaves, wraps around mountains, slides across oceans. The wind is simply the air in motion, the sky's way of shifting its weight, balancing heat and cold, whispering across continents. When you feel a breeze, it's not just air moving, it's the planet adjusting its heartbeat. And you are part of that rhythm. Every breath you take contains the memory of stars. The oxygen you inhale was once part of ancient oceans and forests, born from photosynthesis billions of years ago. The nitrogen comes from the Earth's own crust, released over eons through volcanic sighs. Even the carbon dioxide you exhale will one day feed the green life that feeds you back. The air is a cycle of giving, a gentle loop that ties every living thing together. You look up again, the blue now deeper, more serene. It's strange how something so vast can feel so intimate. The sky doesn't only exist above you, it exists within you. When you breathe, you take in the same atoms that once brushed against clouds, drifted through forests, touched the wings of migrating birds. Some of the air you inhale right now may have been breathed by ancient humans, by whales, by dinosaurs, even by the first green leaves that ever lived. Air is the oldest storyteller. It carries the memory of everything. The wind shifts, brushing against your face. It feels cool, carrying scents from unseen places. You realize that air is the messenger between all corners of the earth. It moves heat from the equator toward the poles, carries the salt of the sea to the mountaintop, brings the pollen of one continent to another. Through air, the world speaks to itself. And light listens. The photons entering the atmosphere follow the patterns of air, dancing through its turbulence. When the air is clear and dry, the light sings sharp and bright. When moisture thickens it, the colors soften. Even the clouds are instruments of scattering, each droplet catching and reflecting light in countless directions, creating the whiteness of cloud and mist. The same physics that paints the blue sky also turns the fog silver and the sunset crimson. It's all one conversation, one continuous transformation of sunlight and air. You begin to see that color is not fixed. It depends on what stands in its path, on how light meets matter, how air bends its journey. The blue sky above you is not a constant thing. It changes with season, with time, with breath. And in that change, there is beauty, the reminder that even the vastest things are alive, shifting, impermanent. If you close your eyes now, you can still feel the air moving, a soft rhythm on your skin, a gentle brush against your thoughts. You can imagine the invisible tides of wind circling the globe, rising where the sun warms, falling where night cools. The earth breathes in great slow cycles, and you are one heartbeat within that breath. High above, at the edge of the atmosphere, where the air grows thin and light bends less, the sky turns from blue to deep indigo to black. That fading of color marks the boundary between earth and space, between the breath of the sky and the silence of the void. It's there, at that fragile border, that sunlight becomes starlight and the story of scattering ends. And yet, even in that vast stillness, the air below continues its song. You realize that the blue sky you see every day is not just a background. It's a living effect, the signature of life's thin envelope around this world. Without air, there would be no sound, no weather, no color, no breath. It's the most invisible miracle of all, the unseen that shapes everything seen. You take one last slow inhale. The air feels cool, alive, patient. You hold it a moment before letting it go, a small echo of the atmosphere's great, eternal rhythm. You smile, because now, when you look up at the sky, you won't just see blue. You'll see light and air in conversation, science and soul intertwined. The horizon shimmers faintly. The day stretches on. You sense that beyond the color, beyond the motion of the air, there's another secret waiting. Something about how this fragile breath of atmosphere protects you, shields you, wraps the earth in quiet armor. You breathe once more, softly, and somewhere, between exhale and silence, you begin to wonder what happens in the thin space between Earth and the stars, where the sky ends and the dark begins. Far away, 93 million miles from where you stand, the sun burns. It doesn't burn like firewood or flame, but with a heat so deep and constant that it hums rather than flickers. Inside its heart, atoms collide with unimaginable force. Hydrogen, the simplest of elements, fuses into helium, and in that moment of fusion, a tiny fragment of mass transforms into pure energy, a spark of light, a photon. Your photon. It's born not in the light we see, but in the blinding core of a star, a place so dense that light cannot move freely. For thousands, sometimes millions of years, this single photon bounces from particle to particle inside the sun's body, trapped in a dance of collisions. Each time it meets another atom, it changes direction, like a whisper passed through an endless crowd. Slowly, painfully, it rises toward the surface. If you could follow it, you'd feel time stretch beyond comprehension. What began as a brief spark becomes a long wandering, a pilgrimage from the sun's fiery heart to its shimmering skin. There, finally, it escapes, bursting into the emptiness of space at the speed of light. Now, its journey begins. Through the vacuum it glides, untouched, unseen. Space offers no resistance, no sound, no air. The photon moves straight, pure and perfect, across the dark. It passes by planets, their orbits silent arcs around the same star. It brushes past streams of cosmic dust, glints off the frozen rings of Saturn, weaves between the gravitational whispers of Jupiter and Mars. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, it travels, a messenger from the sun, carrying the fire of creation. And then it finds Earth. The blue marble floats in the dark, wrapped in its fragile breath of air. To the photon, this world is a chance encounter, a place where it will meet matter and finally rest. Some photons hit the ocean, shimmering into sparkles across the waves. Some touch mountain peaks, where snow gleams like mirrors. Some vanish into forests, feeding the green language of leaves. And a few, just a few, find their way to where you stand now. One of them lands on your cheek. You don't feel its individual impact. It's far too small. But multiplied by trillions, it becomes warmth. That warmth seeps through your skin, stirs your cells, tells your body it's morning again. Somewhere inside you, deep within your own atoms, that ancient energy merges with life. The same light born in the sun's heart is now part of your breath, your heartbeat, your thought. You are, in a quiet and literal way, made of sunlight. The warmth that fills your hands, the light that meets your eyes, all of it began in that distant furnace. The energy that powers every living thing on Earth flows from those same photons. Plants catch them first, using them to split water and weave sugars, building the green fabric of life. Animals, in turn, feed on that green, borrowing the sun's energy again and again. Every heartbeat, every motion, every spark of thought, all of it is sunlight, reshaped and remembered. When you walk beneath the sun, you're walking through a river of photons. Billions strike you every second, not as a rush, but as a soft, steady fall. Invisible rain made of light. Some reflect off your skin. Some warm you. Some enter your eyes, transforming from energy into sight. It's almost impossible to imagine that something so small, so weightless, could travel so far to reach you. But that's the nature of light. It connects distances that would otherwise remain apart. It links the star at the center of the solar system to the smallest movement of a leaf in your backyard. It ties the cosmic to the personal. Imagine holding out your hand and knowing that the light touching it began its journey before the last note of your morning alarm, before you even opened your eyes. The warmth you feel isn't just the present moment, it's the arrival of ancient energy, traveling for lifetimes through chaos and silence, just to meet you in this breath of time. And not all photons share the same fate. Some bounce from clouds, softening daylight into silver. Some scatter through air, painting the sky blue, as you learned before. Some dive deep into oceans, powering plankton that feed the entire sea. Others are absorbed by black rock, by asphalt, by your own dark hair, where their energy becomes motion and heat. Every photon tells a different story, but all begin with the same act. Fusion, the heart of stars turning matter into light. There's a kind of holiness in that, though science calls it physics. The conversion of hydrogen into helium, of mass into light, is the same process that's been happening since the first stars were born. Without it, there would be no warmth, no life, no color, no you. Light is the first voice in the universe, the one that speaks creation into being. As you stand there, sunlight glimmering around you, the world feels smaller and larger at once. Smaller because everything is connected by this one source. Larger because that connection reaches back through time. The light that nourishes a tree today could once have passed through the rings of Saturn, bounced off the moon, or escaped a flare centuries ago. The photons you see may have begun their journey when the first humans looked up and called the sun a god. And yet, here they are, ordinary daylight, soft on your skin. If you close your eyes, you can sense their arrival, not as brightness, but as warmth, a tender pulse against your face. You might even imagine the faint hum of the universe beneath it, the soundless vibration of energy crossing the void. For a moment, you become aware that everything alive is swimming in this invisible current, bathed in the glow of a star. You think of the photon's path, from chaos to calm, from fusion to feeling. Its journey is both epic and ordinary, the same miracle that happens every morning, unnoticed. You realize that light doesn't just illuminate the world, it sustains it. The leaves that wave in the breeze, the food you eat, the air you breathe, all of them trace their origins back to a single beam of sunlight. And then you wonder what happens to the photon when it's done, when its energy is absorbed, transformed, spent. It doesn't die exactly. Energy never does. It simply changes form. The warmth that enters your body becomes motion, heartbeat, breath. When you exhale, some of that energy leaves as heat, radiating back into the world. The photon's journey ends where yours continues, its light reborn as life. That's the quiet truth of existence. Everything that touches you changes you, and you change it in return. The sunbeam's voyage doesn't stop at your skin. It keeps going, rippling outward in ways you'll never see. The heat you give off may warm another molecule of air, another current of wind, another hand reaching toward the same light. The photon's journey is your journey too, an endless exchange between energy and being. As the day grows, shadows shorten and sunlight floods every corner. You look around and the world feels different now, not merely lit, but alive. Each reflection, each shimmer, each patch of brightness is a map of ancient energy still unfolding. The sunbeam has completed its long travel across the void, only to become a single moment of wonder in your morning. And you can't help but think, what of the light that never reaches Earth? The beams that drift forever into the dark, missing every planet, every moon. Somewhere, endless photons are still traveling, carrying their warmth into infinity, never absorbed, never seen. They are journeys without destination, and yet, in their motion, they still give meaning to the universe. The thought humbles you, because even the unseen, the unreceived, is part of the great continuum of light. The cosmos wastes nothing. Even distance becomes part of the design. You stand quietly, sunlight wrapping around you like breath. The photon's story ends where yours begins, and for a moment you understand how small you are and how infinite. The sun still burns, steady and ancient, sending new waves of light across the dark. Somewhere out there, another photon has just begun its journey, another whisper of warmth destined for someone else, some other morning, some other world. You lift your face toward the sky and let the light fall, knowing it carries a history too vast for words, and yet somehow it feels personal. The journey of a sunbeam has reached you, and you can almost sense where it might lead next. Upward, outward, into the quiet realms where light meets space again. The morning light feels gentle now, but within it, something playful unfolds. An invisible dance between sunlight and air. You lift your gaze, and the blue stretches endlessly, soft yet alive. You've seen this sky your whole life, yet tonight you begin to wonder why blue. Why does the daylight choose that hue, that cool serenity? The answer hides not in paint or pigment, but in motion, the way light meets the breath of the world. Each photon of sunlight arrives like a tiny traveler, carrying waves of color within it. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, all traveling together, side by side, straight and sure, through the emptiness of space. But when they meet Earth's atmosphere, the story changes. Here, the air is not empty. It is filled with countless particles, nitrogen, oxygen, tiny specks of dust, and drifting water droplets. Each one small enough to be nearly nothing, yet powerful enough to change how you see the sky. Light, though swift, is sensitive. When a photon meets a molecule, it stirs, scatters, changes direction, just a little. The shorter the wavelength, the more eagerly it dances away. Blue light, with its quick and compact rhythm, cannot resist. It bounces and ricochets in every direction, painting the entire dome of the sky in its hue. Red, with its longer and slower wave, moves straight through, calm and steady, waiting for a horizon or sunset to reveal itself. This scattering, Rayleigh scattering, is nature's quiet choreography. It doesn't happen in bursts or flashes, but in billions upon billions of tiny moments, too small for eyes to catch, yet vast enough to color the whole world. You imagine it now. Blue waves bouncing like laughter between the air, red waves gliding like sighs toward the farthest edge of sight. The world above you is not merely blue, it's alive with motion. You breathe in, and with that breath, you draw in the very air that makes the sky. Every inhale connects you to that dance. Invisible waves, invisible molecules, locked in endless play. You are part of this story without ever having asked to be. Each breath you take mingles with ancient air, air that once bent light for the eyes of those who came before you. You are, in some small and poetic way, breathing the same rhythm that paints the heavens. As the day drifts on, the blue deepens. The sun climbs higher, and the scattered light becomes brighter, more even. Shadows shorten, and color feels pure. Yet as the sun begins to fall, the air changes again. The light must travel through more atmosphere, more miles, more particles, more opportunities for scattering. The blues fade, the reds grow bold, and the horizon begins to blush. Sunset is not an ending, you realize, but a shift in the pattern of scattering. The same dance, now in slower motion, painted in fire. You start to see that the color of the sky is not fixed, but fluid, a reflection of distance, density, and time. In the high, thin air of mountain peaks, the blue turns darker, more profound. In humid air, it softens into haze. Even the angle of your gaze changes it. Near the horizon, more red and gold. Above your head, more pure blue. The sky, it seems, is never one thing. It is a living spectrum of moments, a breathing palette of light and air intertwined. Science calls it scattering. You might call it poetry in motion, an endless waltz between matter and energy. What was once just a color becomes now a story of relationships, of photons meeting molecules, of movement turned into beauty. Every piece of light carries a tale of where it's been and how it was changed by the world it passed through. Nothing stays untouched, not even sunlight. And when clouds appear, the dance shifts again. The tiny water droplets inside them are much larger than air molecules, and they scatter all wavelengths equally. This is why clouds are white, every color of light reflected, every voice of the spectrum speaking together in harmony. The sky becomes a stage for every possible combination of scattering: blue air, white clouds, orange dusk. You begin to see that the world above is not a static painting, but a living symphony, tuned by light itself. As evening edges closer, you feel a soft melancholy, not sadness, but awe. The air grows cooler and the sunlight weakens, its blue tones retreating, its reds blooming along the edges of the horizon. You realize that even light, for all its speed, must slow in some sense, not in motion, but in tone. Every photon that reaches your eyes at sunset has traveled a longer, more intricate path than the ones from midday. You are watching distance itself made visible through color. The dance of scattering never truly ends. Even after the sun disappears, the upper atmosphere still catches its glow, scattering it softly into twilight. The sky deepens from blue to violet to indigo, and then a hush. The last traces of sunlight fade, and another kind of light begins to rise. Stars appear one by one, scattered not by air, but by time and space. The blue gives way to black, yet even in that darkness, light continues its journey. You close your eyes, and for a moment, you can almost feel those photons, old travelers from distant stars, brushing against your skin. The same rules that made your daylight sky blue now shape the twinkling of starlight. The universe, it seems, repeats its patterns everywhere, from the breath of your atmosphere to the farthest galaxies. The dance of scattering, once local and familiar, now stretches beyond the sky you know. And so, as night gathers its calm around you, you find yourself wondering, if light can scatter and change so freely, what else in the universe dances unseen? The day leans toward evening, and the world begins to exhale. The heat that shimmered hours ago now settles, and shadows stretch across the ground like soft threads of time. You lift your eyes, and there, the sun, that endless traveler, lowers itself toward the edge of the earth. The sky changes tone as though it's sighing, blue melting into gold, gold melting into fire. You feel it, that quiet shift when the light no longer burns but glows. Every sunset begins not as an ending, but as a transformation. The light that once fell straight from above now comes slantwise, glancing through more of the atmosphere than before. A single beam must now travel through a longer, thicker ocean of air, molecules, dust, mist, pollen, all waiting to bend and scatter it. The short blue and violet waves fade first, lost to the dance of scattering that painted your noon sky. What remains are the longer, slower waves, orange, crimson, deep red, the calmest of all lights, glowing like the earth's last ember. You can almost imagine the sunbeams struggle. stretching through miles and miles of air, losing pieces of itself with every breath of the wind, until only the softest frequencies remain. The horizon catches them gently, spreading warmth across the clouds. The blue sky you once knew dissolves, replaced by layers of colour so rich they feel alive. Peach and rose, copper and flame, fading finally into violet dusk. The science of it is simple, the feeling of it is not. Every sunset carries both reason and reverence. You know that light waves are scattering differently now, that density and distance carve these hues from pure physics. And yet, as you stand beneath them, it feels personal. The air between you and the sun becomes a painter's brush, each molecule choosing which color to let go, which to hold. The beauty you see is not placed there, it is created in the instant light meets your gaze. It's humbling to realize that the redness of sunset isn't in the sun at all. It's in the air, in the space between you and the horizon. The longer the path, the deeper the color. That's why, after a storm, the skies blaze brighter. Dust and droplets multiply the journey, scattering more blue away, leaving a sky made of molten warmth. Some evenings turn violet, others rose, all depending on the shape and breadth of the atmosphere. You notice how clouds join the performance. The high cirrus clouds, thin and icy, catch the last rays and turn gold, then pink, then soft silver as they fade. Lower clouds grow darker, their edges rimmed with orange fire. You realize that every layer of the sky holds its own version of sunset, its own whisper of light's farewell. From the ground, you see just one story, but above, countless sunsets bloom at once. You feel stillness in the air now. Even the birds seem to slow, their wings moving through the same golden air that once blazed white. The warmth on your face softens. The sunlight no longer commands, it comforts. Shadows, once harsh, now blur and merge with twilight. There's a kind of mercy in it, the way light learns to rest. In these quiet minutes, you begin to understand why so many hearts pause for sunsets. It's not just beauty, it's closure without loss, a slow, radiant ending that promises return. The physics explains how it happens, but your heart explains why it matters. The long wavelengths of red and orange are not just light, they are reminders of endurance. They've survived a longer path, endured scattering and resistance, and still arrived with warmth intact. You think of the sun not as a star now, but as a storyteller, one that repeats the same tale every evening, but never in quite the same way. The horizon becomes a page, the air its ink. Sometimes the story is gentle, washed in gold, sometimes dramatic, burning in crimson and violet. Yet every version carries the same message. Even endings can glow. The fire deepens as the sun touches the edge of the world. For a brief moment, the air turns liquid with light. Mountains, trees, rooftops, Everything seems to shimmer. This is the golden hour's last breath, a fleeting perfection that painters and poets chase but never capture. It slips through your fingers as quickly as it forms, a reminder that beauty often lives in the in-between, in the seconds before something becomes something else. Then, almost imperceptibly, it begins to fade. The red thins into rose, the gold into grey. The sun slips away, leaving the sky stained with memory. You can feel the temperature change, the gentle cool rising behind the warmth. The fire is gone, but its glow lingers in the clouds, like embers refusing to go dark. You watch as the first star blinks into view. The blue that vanished in day begins to return in a new form, not scattered, but distant, ancient, gathered into points of white light. Night does not replace the day. It receives it. The colors of sunset dissolve into shadow, yet something of their spirit remains, whispering upward through the air. The last light fades from the horizon, and the world grows quiet. The day has exhaled completely now. Above you, the sky deepens to indigo, a color that feels like silence itself. The fire of sunset has burned away, but its warmth stays within you, soft and steady, like an after-image behind closed eyes. And as darkness unfolds, a question forms gently in your thoughts. If the sun's light can travel so far and still reach you with warmth, what secrets do the distant lights of the night carry in their endless journeys through the dark? The fire of sunset fades, and the horizon exhales its last ember into the cooling air. The world settles into quiet. What moments ago burned with color now softens into shadow, and the sky begins to darken. Not suddenly, but with the patience of a long breath. One by one, the stars begin to appear, each like a whisper of ancient light breaking through the calm. You look upward, and for the first time all day, the sky feels infinite. The blue veil that once hid the universe has lifted, leaving you face to face with the raw, unfiltered night. Darkness, you realize, is not empty. It is full of everything that daylight conceals. The air that scattered sunlight into color now falls still, transparent. The molecules that once danced with photons have quieted. Their endless bouncing that painted the heavens blue has slowed into peace. The sky, no longer glowing with nearby light, becomes a window instead, a deep, cosmic mirror. You breathe in, and the night feels heavier, colder, but clearer. The stars seem impossibly distant, yet their light reaches your eyes with such tenderness. Each point of brightness is a survivor, a photon that began its journey millions, even billions of years ago, crossing oceans of nothingness, just to reach this single moment of your gaze. During the day, you live under one star, the sun. But at night, you live among them. Every glimmer you see is a sun of its own, some with planets, some long gone but still shining, their light outliving them. The night sky is not a flat dome, you realize. It is depth. It is time laid open before you. The Milky Way rises slow and silent, like a mist made of light. It stretches from horizon to horizon, a river of stars so faint you almost have to stop breathing to see it. You know, scientifically, that this is your galaxy seen from within, a spiral of hundreds of billions of suns, each circling a heart of darkness. But knowing does not make it less miraculous. The thought only deepens the awe. You are standing on one tiny world, orbiting one small star, within one swirl of countless others, and yet you are able to see it. Astronomers call this look-back time. Every star above you is a message from the past. The nearest ones shine with light that left them a few years ago, the farthest, thousands or more. When you look at the night sky, you are not just looking outward, you are looking backward. Time itself becomes visible, stitched into constellations. The night does not simply reveal stars, it reveals history, frozen in light. You begin to notice how the stars are not all the same. Some are steady, some flicker, some are faint blue, others soft orange. Their colors, subtle as they are, tell stories of temperature, of age, of distance. A blue star burns fiercely, living fast and dying young. A red one glows cooler, older, slower. The same physics that scattered sunlight into blue skies now paints these distant fires across space. Even here, color carries truth. Somewhere, a faint breeze stirs, and you remember that the same air you breathe filters starlight, softening it, making it shimmer. The twinkling you see isn't from the stars themselves. It's Earth's breath, bending light as it moves. The sky above is not entirely still. Even at night, air continues its quiet work, turning cosmic precision into beauty. You lie back and watch as constellations take shape. The human mind, forever seeking pattern, has drawn stories here for millennia. Hunters and serpents, queens and lions, myths etched in starlight. But beyond the names and shapes lies something purer. The recognition that you are made of the same matter as those distant lights. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon that fuels your cells, all were forged in the hearts of ancient stars. Every atom of you once was light. You are stardust given breath, walking beneath your own origin. The night sky, then, is not a foreign world. It's home, the oldest home you have. When you look up, you are not looking at something separate, but at your own reflection stretched across eternity. You begin to understand what darkness truly is. It's not an absence, but an unveiling. The day hides the universe in its brightness, the night restores it. The blackness above is not void, it is space itself, vast and alive, filled with motion you cannot see. Galaxies spin silently. Stars are born in clouds of dust. Others collapse into invisible gravity wells. Somewhere, supernovas blaze, planets freeze, comets drift. The quiet sky above you is anything but still. You think of light again, how it scatters, how it bends, how it travels. The same rules that make the sky blue by day now allow you to see infinity by night. The difference is only perspective, only the angle of sunlight. Day blinds you with its nearness. Night frees your vision to distance. The universe has always been there, patient, waiting for you to look. As your eyes adjust, you start to see more. Faint stars, clusters, and even the suggestion of a glow where no star stands alone. Astronomers call it zodiacal light, sunlight scattered by cosmic dust within your solar system. Even here, the dance of scattering continues, not in air, but in the vast silence of space. Light never stops finding something to touch, something to reveal. The stars seem steady, but the sky is not static. Earth spins, carrying you gently beneath the constellations. Within hours, the stars that hang above you will have shifted westward. You are moving, always moving, yet the sky feels eternal. That paradox, motion within stillness, is the heart of the night. You feel it like a rhythm in your chest. Somewhere near the horizon, a faint light begins to bloom, not from stars, but from the atmosphere itself. It's called airglow, the Earth's own soft luminescence, a whisper of colour that never fully fades, even in darkness. The molecules in the upper atmosphere, charged by sunlight during the day, slowly release their stored energy through the night. Even when the world seems black, there is always a lingering trace of light. You close your eyes, and the darkness behind your lids feels just as vast. You realize that the night outside mirrors the night within, quiet, mysterious, full of invisible stars. The air, the earth, your body, all part of one continuous unfolding, one long story of light and matter learning to see itself. Above you, the Milky Way arches higher, like a question written in brightness, and as you breathe in the cold, starlit air, a new thought stirs softly. If darkness can reveal so much beauty, what else might be waiting, hidden in the unseen spaces of light? You stand at the edge of the world, where the land dissolves into motion. Before you, the sea stretches endlessly, breathing with a rhythm older than memory. Waves roll in, one after another, folding sky into water, water into sky. You look down, and for a moment, it's hard to tell which world is real, the one above or the one below. The ocean shimmers with stolen light, a living mirror that holds both reflection and mystery. By day, it borrows the color of the heavens. By night, it catches the silver of the moon. Yet the ocean's blue is not mere imitation. It is something deeper, something born from light itself. The same physics that paints the sky also shapes the sea. The same sunlight that scatters in air dives into water refracted, transformed, and absorbed. The ocean, too, tells its own version of light's story. When sunlight meets the surface, part of it bounces back. That's the glitter you see, the sparkle that dances on waves. The rest enters the water, bending as it crosses from air to liquid. Light slows down here, its path curving just enough to give the sea its soft, shifting glow. But once inside, light faces a new journey, one of loss. Water, though clear to your eyes, is not empty. It absorbs certain wavelengths more than others. Red disappears first, fading within just a few meters. Then orange, then yellow. Only blue survives the longest, scattering gently through the depths, painting the underworld in its serene hue. The deeper you go, the bluer it becomes, until, at last, even blue gives way to darkness. You can almost feel that descent in your mind, like sinking slowly through layers of light, watching color vanish in silence. Red light, the color of warmth and blood, vanishes first. That's why underwater, your own skin seems pale, drained of its usual tone. The ocean steals color with depth, reshaping reality until only the purest shades remain. What you see is not absence, but filtering, the ocean editing sunlight into its own language. The surface gleams, restless. Every ripple is a lens, bending light in infinite directions. Some rays glance away, others dive deep, scattering among tiny particles, shells, and drifting plankton. The sea is never still, and so its color never stays the same. It can turn turquoise near shallow sands, emerald where life blooms thickly, cobalt where the depths swallow light whole. The water's color is not fixed pigment. It is an ever-changing conversation between light, matter, and motion. You realize that when you look at the ocean, you are not seeing a surface. You are seeing layers of reflection and refraction, woven together by light. The top of the sea holds the memory of the sky. The depths hold the memory of sunlight's journey. Every shimmer you witness is a moment of exchange. Sky giving color, sea giving mystery. Science explains it beautifully, but your heart feels something more. The sea doesn't just reflect the sky, it seems to echo it. The same patterns repeat in both realms. Clouds above, foam below, winds in air, currents in water. The planet mirrors itself, breathing as one body. You start to sense how light binds it all, how the sun, the air, and the ocean share a single pulse, a shared rhythm of scattering, reflection, and depth. When you step closer, the waves lap around your feet, cool and alive. Beneath the surface, sunlight breaks into dancing threads. You can trace them, bright, trembling pathways that shimmer across sand and stone. Each one moves with the water's motion, bending, splitting, merging again. It feels like the sea is painting light with its fingertips, reshaping the sky's gift into something living. You imagine how it must look from within, how fish, corals, and drifting jellyfish see a ceiling of liquid light above them. For them, the sun is not a blazing disk, but a trembling mosaic. The deeper they live, the dimmer that ceiling becomes, until only faint, filtered whispers of light remain. And yet, life thrives. The ocean has learned to turn darkness into possibility. Some creatures make their own light, bioluminescent sparks glowing in the void. Tiny lanterns, each carrying the secret of the sun to the deepest places. You think of that, sunlight born in the heart of a star, travelling millions of miles to Earth, entering water, scattering, fading, only to reappear again in the bodies of living beings. Light never truly ends. It simply changes form, like thought turning into dream. Even in the coldest depths, the echo of the sun endures. Sometimes, at twilight, the boundary between sky and sea blurs completely. The colours above reflect perfectly below, and it feels as though the world has folded in half, two infinities touching. In that mirror, you glimpse symmetry, clouds mirrored by foam, stars mirrored by phosphorescence, moon mirrored by wave. The ocean and the sky are not opposites. They are halves of the same endless surface, each completing the other. As the evening darkens, the blue of the sea deepens. The last streaks of sunlight shimmer across the ripples, gold dissolving into rose, then violet, then finally grey. The water no longer reflects, it absorbs. The sky above fades to stars, and the sea below catches their faint reflection, trembling but steady. The day's light has not vanished, it has simply moved, shared between heaven and ocean. You sit beside the waves, listening. The ocean speaks not in words, but in rhythms. Waves arriving, retreating, pausing, like breath. You start to realize that this sound, this endless motion, is the earth breathing through water. Every swell carries energy from distant winds, from storms, halfway across the world. You are hearing not just this shore, but the sum of every weather, every current, every whisper of the planet's motion. And in that sound, you hear the echo of light again. Just as photons bounce and scatter in air, waves of water travel across the sea, carrying energy, crossing distances, breaking softly against coasts. Both are waves. Both are messengers. Light travels through space. Water moves through gravity. The universe speaks in waves, whether of light, of sound, or of sea. The ocean's reflection becomes, in time, a metaphor for yourself. You too reflect the light around you, taking in what shines, returning it in your own way. Sometimes brightly, sometimes faintly. Like the sea, you hold depths others cannot see. The surface may glitter, but beneath lies a silence where light slows, softens, and finds rest. The night grows fully now, and the stars ripple across the water. The line between sky and sea vanishes completely. You look out, and it's as if the world has turned inside out. Stars floating beneath you, constellations trembling on waves. You realize that the same starlight that reaches your eyes now also touches the ocean's skin, bending, scattering, fading, the cosmos reflected in salt and motion. And in that merging, something inside you quiets. The boundary between above and below, between air and water, between light and darkness, it all blurs into one vast continuum. You see how everything mirrors everything else. Sky becomes sea, sea becomes sky. The planet looks inward and outward at once. You breathe deeply, tasting salt on the air. You can almost feel the weight of the light that travelled so far just to end here, dissolving gently in the tide. The ocean hums with it. Old sunlight, old starlight, forever finding new forms.
And as you sit in that shimmering stillness, one question ripples through your mind, like a tide pulling outward.
If the ocean can hold the sky, what might the earth hold deep within itself, waiting, unseen, beneath the waves? You sit beneath the quiet dome of the night, the air soft and still, and think about how light behaves. Not just what you see, but what you now understand. The sky, the colour, the shimmer of oceans. They all began as questions. Simple, beautiful questions that stretched from curiosity to discovery. Science, you realize, is not a cold thing. It is warmth disguised as reason. Every formula began as a sigh of wonder. Someone, somewhere, looked at the same sky and whispered, "Why?" The blue you see each morning, the fire that fills each sunset, the stillness of the dark. Each has a rhythm, a pattern, a truth waiting to be described. And science listens patiently, carefully. It doesn't chase the magic away. It gives it structure, a home. You remember how air scatters light, tiny molecules dancing with waves so short they scatter in all directions. That scattering, known as Rayleighs, makes the day blue and the dawn red. It sounds so simple in words, yet the simplicity hides something vast. Those same equations describe how the smallest vibrations of the universe behave. You think of the numbers that describe this: wavelength, 400 to 700 nanometers, a span too small to see, but large enough to color the world. Blue light with its short, quick rhythm. Red light, slower and more patient. You imagine them as notes on an invisible scale, playing softly in the background of reality. Each beam of light carries information, energy, and a story of distance. When it meets air or water or the particles in a cloud, it bends, bounces, or splits. Not randomly, but with a purpose encoded in physics. And yet, when you look at the sky, none of that feels mechanical. It feels alive. That is the secret of science. It studies without stealing. It dissects without destroying. You recall how Newton once split sunlight with a prism, revealing what was always there. The rainbow was not created, it was unveiled. Just like understanding doesn't build beauty, it reveals it more deeply. You close your eyes and think about photons, those tiny packets of light that begin in the sun's burning core. For hundreds of thousands of years, they fight their way outward, bouncing off atoms, losing and gaining direction until they escape into the cold of space. Then they travel. 8 minutes and 20 seconds later, they find Earth. They touch your skin. They let you see. All that journey, all that energy, just to show you color, to let you feel warmth. You take a slow breath. The science of wonder isn't just in the equations. It's in the patience of discovery. It's in how humanity keeps asking, what else? Even when the answers are too small to hold. You think about frequency, how many times a wave rises and falls each second. Billions, trillions, invisible rhythms that hum beneath everything. Sound has its notes, but light has its frequencies, faster, quieter, ancient. They move through space like silent songs, weaving together to make the world bright. And then you think of energy, how Einstein said that light carries both wave and particle nature, a paradox that feels almost poetic. To be two things at once, to move like a vibration, yet arrive like a messenger. Every photon carries this duality, the universe's way of saying that truth is rarely simple and beauty rarely one-sided. The air around you hums softly with invisible activity, molecules vibrating, photons scattering, wavelengths shifting as the night deepens. Yet you feel calm, because in every pattern you sense order, in every equation you sense intention. Science may use numbers, but what it seeks is meaning. You picture the scientists through time, Newton, Faraday, Maxwell, Einstein, each one holding the torch of curiosity, each one adding another layer to the story of light. Their tools were lenses, prisms, equations, but their fuel was the same wonder that fills your chest now. You realize that to study something doesn't mean to take its soul away. To name a thing doesn't mean to own it. It means to recognize it, to call it by its truth. You smile at that thought. Because now, when you look at the blue of the sky, you no longer see just color. You see scattering, wavelengths, light waves shaped by air. And that knowledge doesn't make it smaller, it makes it closer, like understanding someone's language and finally hearing what they've been trying to say all along. Science is a conversation between the universe and those who listen. You look up again at the dark sky, at the faint white smudge of the Milky Way. You know those lights are not stars scattered randomly, but entire systems, each one governed by gravity and time. You know that the dark between them is not empty. It's filled with background radiation, the soft afterglow of the Big Bang, a memory of creation itself. And yet, it still feels like wonder, the kind that doesn't demand belief, only attention. You exhale slowly. The night is silent but full. Every breath you take is filtered through science, the balance of gases, the diffusion of oxygen, the cooling of temperature as molecules slow. Even the calm you feel is biology, the parasympathetic system slowing your heart, deepening your breath. But knowing this doesn't break the peace, it deepens it. Because understanding the mechanism of calm doesn't make calm disappear, it makes it sacred, proof that you are part of the same laws that govern light and time. You sit quietly for a moment, thinking of all the unseen patterns that shape what you see. Electromagnetism, quantum fields, atomic vibrations, cosmic expansion. Words like these used to sound distant, but now they feel like lullabies of logic, gentle reminders that you are part of something coherent and infinite. You whisper, almost to yourself, maybe wonder is the universe recognizing itself through us. The wind moves softly. The stars blink. You can almost feel the next question forming, the one that will guide you forward. Because even now, when you know so much about the light, the air, the sky, something deeper remains unexplained. Something about perception, about the act of seeing itself. You wonder, if the science of light explains the outside, then what explains the light within? And as the thought drifts through your mind, you realize the next chapter begins there. In the quiet space where understanding meets awareness and wonder turns inward, seeking the light that sees. The morning feels softer today. The light is gentle, filtered through a pale curtain of cloud. The sky that once blazed blue now hides behind a quiet veil. It isn't gone, only resting. You can almost feel it breathing behind the grey. You watch the clouds drift slowly, their shapes merging and dissolving like thoughts between dreams. Each one is made of countless droplets, tiny mirrors, tiny lenses, each bending sunlight in its own way. They scatter every colour evenly now. No wavelength wins, no colour dominates. That is why the sky turns white, or grey, or sometimes silver. The blue hasn't vanished, it has only blended. It's strange how something that hides the light can also calm the world. Shadows soften, sounds feel distant, even time seems slower when clouds fill the sky. You breathe in and feel the air cooler, heavier with moisture, and yet strangely peaceful. Above those clouds, sunlight still pours down in perfect brilliance. Somewhere, the blue still shines untouched. But here, on the ground, you live inside softness, a filtered world where light has been scattered and tamed. Every droplet in a cloud is a scientist's miracle, a perfect sphere of water, small enough to float, heavy enough to fall if the air lets it. They gather from invisible vapor, condensing when the temperature cools, holding together through surface tension. That invisible pull that makes water cling to itself. Each droplet bends and reflects light, turning sunlight into a pale haze that wraps around the day. When you look up, what you see isn't just water. It's light made visible through touch. It's the meeting of warmth and coolness, of air and sky, of energy and patience. If you could rise through the cloud, you would see the blue return. Above it, endless and pure. The clouds are only a layer, like thoughts passing through a still mind. They don't erase the sky. They only remind you that clarity waits behind uncertainty. There's a lesson hidden in this grayness. Even when brightness fades, beauty doesn't disappear. It changes form. The softness of a cloudy day invites you inward. The world feels quieter, closer. Without the distraction of brightness, your senses shift. You start to notice texture, sound, movement. The rustle of trees becomes clearer. The rhythm of your breath becomes music. Clouds, in their way, are storytellers of change. They gather from invisible vapor, drift with the wind, grow heavy, and sometimes release everything they hold as rain. Then they vanish, only to return again. You realize impermanence doesn't mean loss. It means rhythm. The blue sky will return. But for now, this muted calm has its own kind of light, softer, diffused, forgiving. Science explains this easily. When sunlight passes through water droplets, all wavelengths scatter equally. That's why clouds are white, or appear grey when they grow thick, blocking more light. But behind that explanation lies something poetic. When everything scatters evenly, no single colour stands out. It's balance made visible, equality of light. You imagine the sky's emotions. When it wears blue, it feels open and endless. When it turns red, it burns with goodbye. But when it turns grey, it feels contemplative, resting, recovering, holding space for rain. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you find peace in cloudy days. They ask for nothing. They simply exist, soft, weightless, kind. You tilt your face upward. The light is gentle on your skin. There are no sharp shadows, no glare. It's as if the world has dimmed its brightness just enough for you to breathe more easily. You think of how clouds form, warm air rising, cooling as it climbs, releasing the moisture it carried. That invisible process happening constantly above your head. You can't see it begin, but you can feel its result. Science and serenity in one continuous act. And when those clouds grow thick enough, they may fall as rain. The sky's quiet return to earth. Each drop once drifted in the air, part of something vast. Now it comes home, touching leaves, soil, ocean, returning light to life. You wonder, if blue disappears, do we lose beauty? But even in this grey, you can see how light still finds its way. The silver edges where clouds break apart, the faint glow outlining every shape. Even in hiding, light doesn't give up, it adapts. It's like the sky saying, you don't have to shine to be beautiful. You just have to be. You think about how every moment of colour depends on the balance between light and air, moisture and warmth. When the blue hides, it's only because the balance has shifted, not broken. And that thought brings comfort. The science behind the clouds doesn't make the world smaller. It makes it more human, a reminder that even in greyness, there's meaning.
The light inside the cloud still holds all the colors of the rainbow, just blended together, hidden harmony, quiet unity.
You close your eyes and feel the dampness of the air, the coolness of shade. You realize that the world doesn't always need to be bright to be alive. Sometimes peace is found in dimness, in moments where the world chooses to whisper instead of sing. Above you, the clouds continue to drift, reshaping themselves endlessly. The wind guides them gently, like thoughts being rearranged in the sky's mind. You imagine what it must feel like to be one of them, to carry light, to hold rain, to travel endlessly, yet never be lost. Clouds are temporary, but they make you notice what endures, the cycle, the air, the constant presence of light somewhere beyond. You take a deep breath, letting the greyness settle around you like a soft blanket. There's comfort in knowing the blue is still there, waiting behind the mist. And in that quiet moment, you realize maybe the blue isn't hiding at all. Maybe it's just teaching you to see peace in every color. The wind shifts. A faint brightness edges through the clouds. You can feel the change before you see it, the light slowly breaking through, not hurried, just certain. And as you watch the sky begin to open again, you sense the story moving forward, from light to shadow, from knowing to feeling. Because after the clouds drift away, what follows is not just light returning, but reflection, memory, and the shimmering pull of rain. You stand at the edge of the world, or at least, that's how it feels. Before you, the sky folds gently into the land, a seamless blending of blue and earth-toned calm. The line you see, that perfect, quiet horizon, seems close enough to reach, yet it hides behind distance, too wide to imagine. The horizon is a trick of light and space, a soft boundary drawn by perception. You think it's where the earth ends, but it's only where sight surrenders. The planet curves away beneath your gaze, but your eyes, built for beauty, mistake that curve for a line. You take a slow breath. The air feels different here, lighter, thinner, more open. It's the kind of place that makes thoughts wander and stretch. You feel both grounded and infinite at once. The color near the horizon is never quite the same as the color above you. The blue fades there, growing pale, touched with silver or gold, depending on the time of day. The reason is simple, but the result feels sacred. Light traveling through more air, scattering more, losing more of its strength. The farther it goes, the softer it becomes. It's as if the light itself grows tired, not defeated, just gentler. The distance smooths every edge, every hue. You notice how objects near that line, mountains, trees, the faint outline of cities, all seem hazier, smaller, wrapped in mist. That's the air's doing again. Molecules, dust, vapor, all playing their part in scattering light. This thin haze acts like a painter's glaze, turning hard shapes into soft memories. The closer you look, the less you see clearly. The farther you gaze, the more you begin to feel instead of see. That's what the horizon teaches. Perception is not precision, it's poetry. You realize that when light bends, when air softens color, it's not deception, it's translation. The world speaking gently, not shouting. You don't see distance as it truly is. You see distance as your eyes can bear it. And there's something kind in that mercy. If you could see perfectly, every edge, every depth, every distance, the world might lose its softness. But the horizon blurs things just enough for mystery to survive. Science calls it atmospheric perspective, a phenomenon of light scattering and absorption. As distance increases, more air stands between you and what you see. Blue light scatters most, so far away objects take on that faint, cool tint. Painters once discovered this long before physicists explained it. They called it aerial perspective and used it to give depth to flat scenes. Nature, it seems, has been painting all along. You think of how the world must look from above, from an airplane perhaps, or from orbit. There, the horizon curves clearly, unmistakably showing Earth's roundness. The illusion falls away, replaced by the truth of shape and scale. But from here, from where you stand, it feels personal, intimate, almost tender. Maybe that's why people have always been drawn to horizons. They feel like promises, the place where something ends and something else begins. You look again, and the light shifts. The day leans toward evening. The horizon deepens, turns amber and rose, and the boundary seems to breathe. The curve of the planet glows faintly, the edge of your world touched by the sun's farewell. You remember how, when you were a child, you might have thought you could walk there, to the very end, where the sky touches the ground. And now you understand. The horizon moves as you do. It runs ahead, always waiting, never captured. That too feels poetic, the beauty of something you can never quite reach. Science explains it simply. The Earth curves about 8 inches per mile squared. Your eyes, limited by height and refraction, can see roughly 3 miles to the horizon if you're standing on the shore. But even that number changes. The air bends light slightly, allowing you to see just a bit farther than geometry alone would permit. So the horizon isn't just where the Earth ends, it's where the air lends you one last glimpse. Light, curving with kindness. And still, the numbers don't spoil the magic. If anything, they enhance it. Because you realize that even the most ordinary view is shaped by laws vast and delicate. Every step toward that faint line is a dialogue with physics and perception, geometry and wonder. You close your eyes and imagine yourself standing at that edge, your feet on the curve of the planet, your head beneath the blue. You are part of that geometry, part of that equation of distance and seeing. When you open your eyes again, the horizon seems different. It's not an end at all, it's a threshold. You notice how the haze glows now, that soft golden shimmer that comes when sunlight strikes tiny particles of dust and moisture. It's called scattering, a gentler cousin of the scattering that makes the sky blue. The particles are larger now, so they scatter all wavelengths more equally, painting the horizon in warmth instead of coolness. That's why sunrise and sunset look the way they do, light passing through more air, losing its blues, holding on to its reds. The horizon becomes a living canvas, coloured by distance itself. And as the sun lowers further, the line between earth and sky begins to blur completely. Shadows stretch, colors blend, and what was once clear dissolves into memory. The horizon is gone, or maybe it's everywhere now, all around you. You realize that your eyes, for all their sensitivity, can only perceive so much. The rest must be imagined, felt, believed. The horizon reminds you that seeing is an act of trust. Above, the first stars begin to appear. The blue fades, the warmth cools, and the boundary between day and night stretches across the world. Somewhere beyond that line, another day begins. You think about how light travels endlessly, bouncing from air to eye, from sky to sea, and how your perception, fragile, beautiful, turns those vibrations into meaning. The horizon is proof of that miracle. The world is round, yet you see a line. You see an ending, yet it's only continuation disguised. You see limits, but they're painted by light itself. Illusions crafted by physics, softened by time. You smile at the thought. The edge of the world is not a place. It's an experience, a meeting of sight and thought, of air and hope. The wind stirs, carrying the cool scent of evening. The stars multiply. The line between earth and sky fades into one shared vastness, and for a moment you feel both tiny and infinite, as if the horizon has stepped inside you, drawn across your mind instead of the sky. The world no longer feels divided into near and far, known and unknown. It feels continuous. One long flow of light, bending, curving, blending. And as darkness deepens, you sense the next question rising quietly in your heart. Not about distance, but about direction. Not about what you see, but where the light goes next when it leaves your eyes. Because the horizon, too, has another side, unseen, but waiting, and maybe, just beyond it, lies the story of how light travels through shadow, how night inherits the day, and how even the farthest line still leads you home. You close your eyes and imagine leaving Earth, slowly, gently, as if your breath could lift you from the ground. The blue horizon fades beneath you, shrinking into a curved glow. Clouds drift below like threads of silver silk. You rise higher through the thinning air until the sky deepens from blue to black. This is where light begins to behave differently. Up here, there's no air to scatter it, no molecules to favor blue, no droplets to soften gold. Sunlight travels pure and untouched, white and blinding. You realize that the color of your world has always been a gift of atmosphere, the tender collaboration between light and air. And as you drift beyond that breath of blue, the universe opens before you, vast, quiet, endless. Stars burn in perfect clarity. No haze, no twinkle, no filter of distance. Just light meeting eyes without interruption. You move onward, past the moon's silver silence, toward the outer worlds that glow like distant lanterns. Each one tells a different story of color. Each one a different relationship with sunlight. First, Mars, the red planet, the dusty wanderer. You imagine standing on its surface, the sky not blue, but a soft butterscotch hue, tinted by iron dust that hangs in the thin air. When the sun sets there, the opposite happens from Earth. The sky near the sun glows blue, while the world around turns rust red. It's a strange reversal, the colours swapped by atmosphere and dust. On Earth, air scatters blue light most. On Mars, dust scatters red light better. So the blues stay trapped near the sun's disk, while the rest of the sky softens into warm tones. You realize that even planets carry personalities shaped by their chemistry. Mars, dry and iron-rich, paints its story in rust and shadow. You picture yourself there, the ground beneath you brittle and quiet, the horizon stretching forever under pale gold, the air too thin to breathe, but filled with the memory of ancient rivers. You wonder if the first Martian dawn would feel lonely or divine. Then you drift onward, past Jupiter, the giant with its swirling storms. Its clouds are coloured by ammonia and water ice, tinted by complex chemicals born from lightning. You think of how those bands of white, orange and brown are just layers of temperature and composition. Even chaos has a pattern, even storms have symmetry. You move deeper still, to Neptune, far at the edge of the solar sea. There, the light is weak, 30 times dimmer than Earth's. Yet Neptune glows the purest blue of all. You marvel at that paradox. Less sunlight, yet more colour. It's because of methane, a gas that absorbs red light, letting only blue escape. The result is a hue so deep it feels infinite, like looking into the soul of distance itself. You drift above its clouds, silent, cold, eternal. The blue there is not sky, its essence. It's not scattered, but filtered, the planet's way of choosing which part of sunlight to keep. And you think, perhaps every world is like that, each choosing its own shade of truth. You imagine Venus next, cloaked in cloud, bright as a morning star. Its light is deceptive, dazzling from afar, but suffocating up close. The atmosphere there is thick, heavy with carbon dioxide, wrapped in sulfuric acid mist. The sunlight that touches it doesn't scatter playfully as it does on Earth. It glows with an eerie yellow, diffused through toxic air. Even beauty can hide behind danger. Even light can be trapped. Then you think of Titan, Saturn's moon, wrapped in orange haze. Its air is thick with methane, so thick that sunlight filters down dim and golden, like perpetual twilight. You could stand there and see shadows cast in honey-coloured light, the sky glowing softly even at noon. Everywhere you travel in thought, light behaves like language, shifting meaning depending on who listens. You begin to understand that blue is not a universal truth. It's an agreement between light, matter, and mind, a cosmic collaboration. On Neptune, blue means cold. On Earth, it means open. On Mars, it means farewell. The same colour, different souls. You look back toward Earth now, a glowing marble wrapped in mist. From space, it shines as a soft blue sphere, delicate and alive. That blue comes from all you've learned. Scattering, air, ocean, reflection. Billions of tiny molecules bending sunlight in perfect harmony. It's humbling to realize that if Earth had no air, it would look black, a silent stone in an endless void. The color that comforts you, that defines home, exists only because of breath. You think of that often, how fragile beauty can be, how light depends on what receives it. You drift further still, your thoughts traveling beyond the solar system now, imagining planets that orbit strange stars, red dwarfs, blue giants, golden suns. Each one casts a different light, reshaping its world's identity. A red star might paint its planet in copper and rose. A blue star might bleach its skies into violet ice. And somewhere, perhaps, there is a world that glows green or silver, a sky no human eye has ever seen, yet somehow still familiar in feeling. Because beauty doesn't need to be identical to be understood. You remember what you've learned, how color depends on wavelength, and wavelength depends on energy. Higher energy means shorter waves, violet, blue. Lower energy means longer waves, red, orange. But between those extremes lies endless variation. The universe plays with this spectrum, like an artist with light as its brush. You realize now that every color you've ever seen, every sunrise, every shadow, every shimmer, is a message from the universe written in wavelength. Mars whispers in red, Neptune sings in blue, Earth hums in every shade between. You find peace in that thought, that even across galaxies, the same physics dances, shaping light into memory. And you wonder, if someday humanity walks beneath those alien skies, would they feel at home? Would the blue of Neptune or the orange of Titan awaken something ancient, a sense that light, in all its forms, speaks a common language? Maybe that's what connects every world, not shape, not size, but the shared act of illumination. Every planet, every moon, every sun participates in this quiet dialogue between energy and I. You take a deep breath, or imagine one floating there between stars. The air of Earth feels far away, yet still part of you. You realize that the same particles that scatter light here once drifted through space, part of the same story of creation. Your thoughts grow slow, weightless. You see colors not as boundaries, but as bridges, connecting worlds, connecting minds. You whisper softly, even the unknown glows with something familiar. Because no matter how far you travel, light remains your companion. It shifts and bends, but never disappears. It changes costume, but keeps its essence. It teaches you that beauty isn't a constant color. It's the way light chooses to belong to each world it touches. You open your eyes again and imagine returning, drifting down through the black, through the thin blue edge of Earth's atmosphere. The stars dim as the air thickens. The light begins to scatter again, the blue deepening until it wraps you completely. You are home. The color of your world welcomes you back, gentle, familiar, alive. And as you stand beneath that endless sky, you understand something profound. The blue above isn't just the color of air. It's the reflection of connection, the echo of every world you've dreamed of, every photon that ever traveled, every mystery that light has yet to reveal. You breathe in deeply, letting that thought settle. The wind moves softly, and the horizon shimmers. Because even after crossing galaxies in your mind, you know, there are still colors left unseen, still worlds waiting to glow, still light yet to speak. You sit in the stillness of twilight, watching the last light fade from the horizon. The sky deepens, blue melting into violet, then into something darker still. You know that beyond what your eyes can catch, light continues. It doesn't stop at the edge of color. It only slips beyond your perception. The visible spectrum, that tiny band between red and violet, is only a whisper in an endless symphony. You've always lived inside that narrow window, believing it to be the whole of light. But tonight, as you imagine the wavelengths stretching outward into the invisible, you begin to understand just how much lies hidden. Beyond violet, the waves grow shorter, their energy higher. This is the realm of ultraviolet, fierce, invisible, and alive. You can't see it, but you can feel it. It brushes your skin in sunlight, reminding you that even invisible light leaves a mark. Ultraviolet is the painter behind sunburns, the sculptor of skin tone, the quiet energy that wakes the chemistry of life itself. Plants sense it, flowers reflect it, insects read it like a secret code. Bees, for instance, navigate the world through patterns written in ultraviolet light. What looks like a simple yellow flower to you glows with hidden designs to them. Arrows pointing toward nectar, paths unseen by human eyes. It's humbling to realize that what you call reality is filtered through biology. Your eyes are just instruments tuned to one narrow channel of existence. The universe, meanwhile, plays in 1,000 frequencies you'll never see directly. You imagine ultraviolet as a shimmer just beyond reach, light that moves faster, tighter, more urgent. If you could see it, the world might look electric, every edge pulsing faintly, every surface revealing textures of energy. You wonder if stars themselves would seem sharper, their outlines blazing in ghostly fire. And then you turn your thoughts the other way, past red, where wavelengths stretch long and slow. This is infrared, the warmth you feel even when light fades. It hums softly in the background, wrapping the world in invisible heat. You can sense it, the warmth of your hand against your chest, the glow of a sunset that lingers after the sun is gone. Infrared is the reason the Earth doesn't freeze each night. It's how the planet remembers daylight. Infrared cameras can see it, turning warmth into glowing shapes, the outline of a person in the dark, the breath of an animal hidden in the forest. To them, the night is not empty but alive, filled with motion and energy unseen by human eyes. You smile at the thought, how every invisible wavelength tells a story. Ultraviolet marks beginnings, growth, photosynthesis, energy awakening. Infrared marks memory, warmth, comfort, lingering presence. Between them lies all that is visible, all that feels familiar. But the universe extends endlessly in both directions, beyond both ends of sight. Microwaves whisper softly just beyond infrared, carrying heat and communication. Radio waves stretch further still, long and gentle, passing through clouds, through walls, even through your body without a sound. They carry songs, data, voices, humanity's thoughts, traveling invisibly through the air. And far beyond ultraviolet, higher and higher, come X-rays and gamma rays. Light so powerful it pierces flesh, revealing bones, tracing the structures of stars, marking the birth of galaxies. These are not waves you can touch or feel. They belong to the cosmos. Light at its most intense, most secretive. You realize now that light is far bigger than what the word suggests. It's not just what illuminates, it's what connects. Every frequency, from the slow hum of radio to the sharp spark of gamma, is part of the same spectrum, the same ancient conversation between energy and space. It humbles you because you see only a fraction, yet you live within the whole. You think about how your body knows what your eyes do not. You feel warmth without seeing it. You sense the rhythm of day and night through your circadian clock, guided by subtle shifts in light. Your skin absorbs ultraviolet to make vitamin D, while your brain interprets light cues to balance sleep and emotion. Even blindness does not mean darkness, for your body listens to light in other ways. You start to wonder, what else do you not see, yet still feel? You close your eyes and imagine the invisible universe around you. Waves overlapping, pulsing, passing through matter and thought alike. Every wall, every atom, every breath alive with signals. The cosmos is buzzing with color your eyes will never know. Yet your instruments, telescopes, sensors, detectors, extend your vision. They let you peek into the ultraviolet patterns of distant galaxies or trace the heat signatures of newborn stars. You realize that science doesn't just expand knowledge, it expands vision. You remember that the Hubble Space Telescope once captured images in ultraviolet and infrared, showing stars and nebulae invisible in ordinary light. The pillars of creation, for example, glow differently depending on which wavelength you look through. One view shows dust and gas, another reveals the stars forming within. The truth is not one picture, but all of them together. You start to see the poetry in that every wavelength is a perspective, and the universe reveals itself differently depending on how you choose to look. Maybe, you think, humans have always sensed this. Maybe that's why the unseen fascinates us. Ghosts, auras, dreams, intuition. All metaphors, perhaps, for the real truth that much of existence lies beyond visible sight. Even emotions are a kind of invisible light, unseen but deeply felt. You open your eyes again. The room around you glows softly with the last traces of dusk. You know that ultraviolet is already fading as the sun dips below the horizon, while infrared remains, warm and loyal. You feel it on your skin, radiating from the walls, from your own body. In that warmth, you sense connection between what you can see and what you cannot. between knowledge and mystery. The visible spectrum suddenly feels like a bridge, not a boundary. You whisper softly, "Light doesn't end where vision does." It continues endlessly, wrapping the universe in invisible color, filling the spaces between stars, between atoms, between moments. You imagine drifting outward again, beyond Earth, beyond the solar system, into regions where light takes on new forms. Gamma bursts flare across distant galaxies, microwave echoes hum from the birth of the universe itself. You remember that even now, the cosmic microwave background, ancient infrared light from the dawn of time, still glows faintly around you, everywhere, always. It's comforting, almost sacred, to realize that the universe never goes dark. Even in the deepest shadow, light exists. It may simply move too fast, too slow, or too faintly for your eyes to keep up. You breathe in. The air feels warmer now, though you know it's only your imagination, or perhaps your awareness expanding. The unseen has a presence now. It's no longer nothing. It's part of your world. You close your eyes one last time and let that truth settle deep within you, that what you see is not all there is. That beauty exists even in invisibility. That light, in every wavelength, is still light, still alive, still whispering through space and skin and soul. The spectrum is infinite, and so is wonder. You sit quietly, eyes half closed, as night folds itself around you. The air hums softly, filled with a kind of silence that isn't empty. It's waiting. Above, the stars flicker like slow heartbeats. Each one sends out light that has traveled farther than thought, longer than memory. And somewhere within that light, a part of you recognizes something familiar. Because every photon that brushes your skin, every shimmer that reaches your eyes, began its journey long ago. The starlight you see tonight may have started its voyage before humanity had words for wonder. Some of those rays left their stars hundreds, thousands, even millions of years ago, crossing the cold vacuum of space, untouched and unbroken until now. And now they touch you. It's strange to think of light as ancient, but it is. A photon born in a stellar furnace might have danced through nuclear storms, passed through interstellar dust, bent around planets, and slipped through the thin air of Earth, all to end its journey here, resting on your eyelid, your hand, your breath. You are a final destination. Each glimmer of light carries a story, not in words, but in motion, a record of its source, a pulse of energy from something vast, something older than life itself. You imagine those photons whispering tales as they arrive, of collapsing suns, of nebula stretching like cosmic gardens, of galaxies spinning slowly through infinity. They don't know where they're going. They only know they must move forward. Light never looks back. And yet, it keeps a memory of everything it's touched. You are living in that memory. The light of your world, sunlight, starlight, candlelight, is an echo of origins. The energy that warms your body, that feeds the forests, that glows on the ocean's skin, is all borrowed starlight, redistributed through time. Even the atoms in your body remember. The carbon that forms your cells, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, all of it was forged in stars long dead. Supernovae scattered those elements into space, where they drifted until gravity called them home again, gathering into the dust that formed this world. When you touch your chest, you are touching matter that once burned inside a sun. You breathe in air made of ancient explosions. You move through a universe that built you piece by piece. Light made life possible. But more than that, light gave the universe a way to remember itself. Through the steady stream of photons, space became visible. Every reflection, every shadow, every soft gleam, they are the universe seeing itself in motion. And you are part of that reflection. You think back to morning light, to how it felt when the day first began, that golden calm spreading across the world. It's the same light, just older now. It has travelled through leaves, through air, through glass, changing shape, but never dying. When you open your eyes at dawn, you are not witnessing something new. You are remembering something eternal. Every sunrise is a continuation. Every sunset, a transformation. Even in darkness, light doesn't disappear. It only hides. It lingers in warmth, in radiation, in energy stored within every living thing. A candle goes out, but its light remains as heat, as motion, as the quiet vibration of atoms. Nothing is ever truly lost. You imagine the universe as a great breathing organism, inhaling and exhaling light. Stars are its lungs, galaxies its rhythm. And within that rhythm, every photon carries a pulse, a heartbeat from a moment billions of years old. Perhaps that's why starlight feels comforting. It's not just beauty, it's recognition, a reminder that you come from the same brightness. The light that falls on your face tonight once lived in the same kind of furnace that gave birth to you. You are not apart from the stars. You are their continuation. When you look up, you're not just observing the cosmos, you're remembering it. You close your eyes and feel the faint warmth of distant light still resting on your skin. Inside your body, countless chemical reactions glow faintly, producing their own tiny sparks of energy. Even now, you shine, quietly, invisibly, like a candle hidden behind the veil of flesh. Bioluminescence may belong to fireflies and oceans, but you, too, are radiant in your own way. Every heartbeat releases a trace of heat. Every breath exhales light in infrared form. You are a soft lantern in the fabric of night, alive and luminous. You wonder how much of the universe sees itself through such small, gentle glows. Somewhere, far beyond what your eyes can reach, galaxies bloom, vast spirals of dust and starlight. Each one sends its photons outward, endlessly, like seeds cast into the void. Some will drift forever, never meeting anything at all. Others will find their way into eyes like yours, completing their journey.
You can almost feel that connection, a thin, golden thread stretching across space and time, linking your moment of stillness to the birth of stars.
It feels eternal. There's peace in realizing that light, even after traveling for millions of years, still arrives perfectly on time. Never early, never late. It doesn't rush. It simply moves, faithful to its nature. It reminds you to slow down, to exist at your own speed, to trust that everything you are will reach where it belongs in its own moment. Light teaches patience. It also teaches memory, not in words, but in presence. Every gleam, every reflection is proof that something was. When light touches an object, it carries that moment forward, scattering it into the world. You might forget, but light remembers. You think of photographs, frozen moments captured in silver and pixel. In a way, they are echoes of photons, memories of how light once fell. Every image you've ever taken is light remembering for you. Even now, as you sit beneath the night sky, your eyes take in ancient light and turn it into thought, emotion, meaning. Inside your mind, starlight becomes memory again, soft, human, and alive. You exhale slowly, realizing how everything connects. The sun, the stars, your breath, your heartbeat. You are both receiver and sender, absorbing the memory of the universe and giving it back in warmth and motion. Perhaps that's what it means to exist, to be part of the endless journey of light, to hold its memory for a little while before passing it on. You look up one last time. The stars shimmer gently, as if nodding in quiet recognition. Their light continues to travel, just as yours will, through time, through others, through everything that ever is or will be. And as you lower your gaze, you realize the memory of light isn't just something you witness, it's something you carry. You lie back, letting your breath fall into rhythm with the dark. The room is still, but the silence feels alive, like the quiet space between stars. Your eyes close and the world turns inward. Yet behind your eyelids, something gentle lingers, a faint, luminous blue. It's not the blue of day, not the wide sky or the ocean's mirror. It's softer, quieter, a hue that exists only in your mind. You realize slowly that light hasn't disappeared. It has simply gone inward, finding refuge behind thought and memory. Every photon you've ever seen, every sunrise, every reflection on glass, they've all left their traces within you. When you close your eyes, those echoes blend into something seamless. The blue is no longer external. It's part of you now. Your body remembers light the way the earth remembers dawn. You breathe in deeply, and it feels like inhaling color. With each exhale, a bit of the day leaves your body, dissolving into stillness. Sleep isn't far. It's just another kind of horizon, one you approach not by walking, but by softening. You begin to notice how the mind behaves like the sky itself. Thoughts drift like clouds, sometimes heavy, sometimes light. Behind them, there is always clarity waiting, that steady, endless blue. You can't force it to appear. You can only let the thoughts pass until it reveals itself again. The sky inside you is vast. It holds storms, sunsets, starlight, and calm. It changes constantly, yet never loses its expanse. Even in chaos, there is openness. Even in darkness, there is space to rest. This realization feels like floating, weightless and safe. You think of how light once traveled from the heart of the sun, through air and water, through your eyes, through every moment of awareness. That same journey continues now, but in reverse. You are not observing light anymore. You are becoming it. The photons that once entered your eyes now echo as memory, tiny sparks flickering in the mind's ocean. They illuminate thought instead of air. The boundary between outer and inner dissolves, and you understand something profound. That perception never ends where the senses stop. It only changes form. The universe you've watched your whole life, skies, seas, horizons, now exists within. You can travel there without moving, guided by rhythm and breath. You see it clearly now, the infinite blue within. It's not color as the eyes know it. It's a feeling, a state of balance, of quiet expansion. It's the moment between thoughts, the space between heartbeats, the calm between waves. You float there, surrounded by that blue. It has no edge. It doesn't ask or demand. It only is. Maybe peace has always been this, the inward echo of the world outside. You remember how earlier chapters of your day, of your life, have been painted by the outer light, the golden warmth of morning, the scattering blue of afternoon, the crimson of sunset, the violet of twilight. Each color was a lesson, each a mirror. But now, as the outer light fades, you realize what remains constant, the awareness that watches them all. Light may come and go, but awareness, this inner sky, never leaves. You realize you've been searching for peace in the changing colors of day, when all along, it was the stillness watching them that held the calm. The infinite blue isn't something you chase. It's what's left when everything else falls silent. In this quiet, your mind begins to hum softly, like the distant echo of a song you once knew. That hum feels like the rhythm of the universe itself, not a sound, but a vibration that holds everything together. You sense it in your breath, in the slow beating of your heart, in the faint warmth of your skin. The same warmth that once came from starlight. The same vibration that once rippled through space as photons and waves. You are made of that music. You are that music. Your thoughts drift toward the vastness of everything, the cosmos, the galaxies, the endless light you've come to understand. Yet none of it feels far away anymore. The stars, the sun, the sky, they all feel close, folded into your being. You whisper to yourself, I am part of the sky.
And you mean it!
Because the same particles that form your eyes once burned inside a star. The same light that painted the dawn once passed through your heart. You've carried the universe within you all along, its color, its calm, its endlessness. Outside your window, night continues quietly. The world rests beneath a blanket of faint silver and shadow. Yet even now, in the deepest dark, invisible light moves, infrared warmth from the ground, starlight traveling for eons, soft photons slipping through the atmosphere. The world never truly sleeps. It only changes rhythm. And neither do you. You only shift from outer to inner awareness, from watching the light to remembering it. In this half-dreaming state, you see how everything connects: light and thought, breath and sky. The blue within you is the same essence that colors oceans and heavens. The difference is only one of direction. Outer light travels toward your eyes. Inner light radiates from your being. You are both observer and source. As you drift closer to sleep, your awareness softens further. Images blend, stars become neurons, galaxies swirl like memories. The cosmos seems to breathe through you. You realize that rest is not the absence of energy, but its renewal. A way for light to fold inward and gather strength again. You let yourself sink into that realization. The blue deepens, turning from hue to feeling, from feeling to silence. You sense that the day's light has not left you. It has simply become you. This understanding doesn't shout. It hums like a secret truth. You are made of light remembering itself. The more you surrender to rest, the brighter that truth becomes. Not as vision, but as calm. The mind settles. The body relaxes. Every thought becomes lighter, floating upward like dust in a sunbeam. You feel the warmth of invisible light all around, gentle and constant. It no longer matters where the sun is or how dark the sky has become, because now you know the source of light was never outside. It was always within. And as your consciousness begins to blur into dream, you realize that this journey, from light to color, from sky to self, has come full circle. The infinite blue that once stretched above you now lives inside you, vast and unbroken. You don't need to look for it anymore. You only need to rest within it. Your breath slows. Your heartbeat echoes softly in the quiet. The last thing you feel before sleep takes you is a sense of stillness that feels like eternity. It's not darkness. It's not light. It's something between dash. A peaceful, infinite blue. And in that boundless calm you drift into the dream of the next dawn.